Advance written notice of this meeting of the Pennsauken Township Board of Education was sent to the Courier Post and Philadelphia Inquirer. Notice appeared in the legal notice section of the Courier Post stating the time, date, and location, and the formal action will be taken at that time. The notice was also posted with the Township Clerk. As President, I declare this to be a legal meeting of the Board of Education. Roll call, Mr. Oberg.
Mr. Copeland. Mr. McDevitt.
Here.
Dr. Maloney.
Here.
Mr. Stargell.
Here.
Mr. James Wilson. Mr. Rodriguez.
Here.
Mr. Wynn. Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
You have a quorum?
Mrs. James Wilson and Mr. Nguyen did inform the board that they might be late. At this time, we'll move on to... At this time, we'll move on to public comment on agenda items only. The Pennsauken Township Board of Education recognizes that the schools are the concern of all members of the community. With this in mind, the Board of Education welcomes and solicits input from the public during the regular monthly business meeting. Members of the community are afforded an opportunity to express their views. It does, however, respectfully suggest that citizens attempt to resolve concerns by speaking directly to school administrators before bringing it to the board. Individuals with a relevant interest in the function or duties of the board are invited to speak a maximum of 5 minutes on any one issue. You are required to give your name and address before speaking.
Donna Zuber, 7665 Meadow Avenue. Agenda item number 29. The Students Taking Academic Responsibility Program, STAR. Is that coming under title money, and is that, what are the guidelines for that? Is that students that have done what, failed a class or struggling how? Didn't pass the...
29.
Which item?
I'm sorry, 28.
Oh, okay.
28. Is that students that haven't passed the ask, or what students are we giving the support to, I guess?
Well, I'll refer that question to the superintendent.
Actually, the principal of the middle school is here.
I can answer that question for you. That's for any student that's having academic difficulties or organizational skills. Students, it doesn't mean they could have passed the New Jersey ASK, not necessarily passed the New Jersey ASK, but they are demonstrating difficulties in the classroom, getting the assignments completed or getting their homework completed. So it's a program that's not monitoring students, but actually assisting students and helping them to complete their assignments.
Are those students being referred by teachers, or can parents request those students be assisted?
Either one. Either one.
Also, on agenda item number 16, the snow route alternatives. What grade level are we referring to? This is the first time I can remember ever seeing this in the agenda, that we will have a snow, which I agree with, believe me. But what grade levels are we doing it for? Is it K through 12?
Mr. Ober?
It's being recommended for specific sections of the community where the buses in the past have had difficulty getting down the road, so it will be across grade levels.
Okay, have the parents been notified of the, for those only if I was a parent of 42nd Street, and then all of a sudden we're doing a perimeter run, I assume that's what we're going to use, which is our main roads, and I'm used to my child being dropped off at my, at the corner of my street, but now I have to go to Westfield or to Browning. I would be concerned, like, waiting for buses. Are we going to notify those parents?
Once the board approves,
Okay.
then we will send letters to parents. We'll also put on our website. I'm going to inform as soon as possible.
And I think that is a great idea. I'm so glad that you're doing that. And on agenda number 37, I see we're hiring additional teachers for the Twilight program. Could you tell me how many students we're up to at the Twilight program?
Without a definite number in front of me,
Ballpark?
between 50 and 60 students.
Okay, thank you.
Ballpark figure. I'll have an exact number.
And also, Mr. President, the RFQs came in for the attorney, the solicitor.
Yes.
There's nothing in here that I see, or maybe I missed it,
Yes, that is true. So my intention is to speak about that under old business.
under old business. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else from the public?
Seeing none, Mr. President, I move to close the public portion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Oberg, that passed unanimously.
Thank you, sir.
This last question was about the solicitor. Does the solicitor have anything to add to the meeting?
No, I have no reports.
Thank you. Report of committees of the Board of Education?
Mr. President, I'd like to report that December 3rd, Mr. Kofit and I went to the New Jersey School Board Association Legislative Committee in Trenton. It's where we first heard about the Bill A4360, which will allow school boards the option to move board elections to November. And it will also, if they decide to do that, there will be no budget vote as long as we're within cap. Once a board does decide to take that option, they have to do it for at least 4 years. They can't go back and forth. And that bill also allows municipalities to force the board to move their election to November, which was a very interesting discussion at the meeting, that how the municipal government got involved in that bill. And the answers from the sponsors of the bill, which was Greenwald and Norcross, was that it affects the tax base, so the municipality should have a say in it also. It is on a fast track. From what I understand, it's probably the only education-related bill that will come out of the lame duck session. It's got some heavy hitters that are backing it on both sides, in both houses. They pretty much believe that that's going to happen. It's been in the paper since then, and it still has the municipal option in it, which I don't see how that would affect us too much, but in situations where it's not a friendly relationship with the town government, I could see them forcing school boards to go to November. The only problem with that is if you're a district that usually goes to the voters when you're over cap, if you're forced to go to November, then you have to start your fiscal year in July with a temporary budget, and then put your additional cap money in November and hope you get it. Look at Chris. He's like, whoa. That's the big downside of if you make that decision that you want to go there, or someone forces you there, then you have to really watch what you're doing, because as I could tell just by looking at your face, it is a business administrator's nightmare to go in with a temporary budget. The Ruiz bill, which is the tenure reform bill, is still on track. It's not going to happen in the lame duck session, from what I understand, and that is where tenure would be granted after 4 years. It would be, the first year wouldn't count. Then after 3 years, it would be granted tenure. You are to be evaluated, and if you get poor evaluations 2 years in a row, you could lose tenure. Then it would take at least 1 year of positive reviews for you to get tenure back, and that can continue on and on. The only downside of that bill is, and I'm not talking bad about any principals that are here, of course, is that there is a provision in the bill that says that principals are in charge of their schools, and they will do the hiring, the firing, and the granting of tenure. School boards really doesn't like that position right there, because not only a job of the superintendent and the board, it is also a budget issue. We trust all of our principals, but there are other principals out there that we don't know if they would do the best for the districts. We're still, New Jersey School Boards Association is still trying to get that provision out of that bill. There's also another bill that's been presented. It is not even in committee yet, but it's presented by Senator Doherty. I can't remember if he's assemblyman or senator. Basically take the educational funding dollars and divide them by the number of students in the state. And that's what you'll get. Now I made her think. It really isn't going anywhere because it doesn't have any provisions for special ed, poverty, the avid districts. But it's something that someone threw out there to see if it would stick to the wall. Another point that I found very interesting was that there is consensus by charter schools that they want a funding formula that comes directly from the state. To take the districts out of the funding formula where it's 90% of what, you know, the tuition rate is for that school. That I was amazed that charter schools, well, they want more money. They want it to come directly from the state. But that was an interesting point. Also, I hope we know this. By 2014, all testing must be done by technology, and we're looking at that provision. That is, I probably heard that before, but it really sunk in, being the end of 2011. The only other thing is there's 3 resolutions that, there's another bill that I found afterwards, become Tabitha's Law, it's going to be called. It's presented by Assembly Rumana of Bergen, Essex, and Passaic County, and Assemblyman Patrick Deegan of Middlesex County, which would require, this is a little bit of what happened in Florida. The legislature finds and declares when a child is abducted, the first few hours are absolutely critical in the recovery process. That the unexplained absence of a pupil from school can be significant early warning sign of abduction. That although stranger abductions are rare, an efficient system of communication between the school administrators and parents regarding a student's unexplained absence must be incorporated by our public school districts into their attendance system. And the benefits of this requirement will be realized only if one child is saved as a result. Whenever the pupil is enrolled into a public school, the parent or guardian shall notify the principal or the principal's designee of their information. If the pupil is determined to be absent without valid excuse, and if the reason for the student's absence is unknown to the school personnel, the principal or the principal's designee shall immediately attempt to contact the pupil's parent or guardian to notify them of the absence and to determine the reasons for the absence. This act shall take effect immediately. It is going through committee right now. It's probably going to pass. It's certainly worth the effort, but it's what I call one of the feel-good laws that once it goes out there, it certainly makes sense on paper. I don't know how it's going to impact the districts, but it's certainly something that is probably going to be passed. The resolutions, the one is the Opportunity Scholarship Act. There is talk that's going to be scaled back to 3 districts from 5 districts. That's the where grants corporations tax credits for contributing to a program that issues educational vouchers to certain students for use in any public or non-public school of their choice.